Over the years, I have tried lots and lots of different budgeting methods and systems, everything from apps to Excel spreadsheets to using my own banking systems. But honestly, what I felt more than anything else was overwhelm and confusion. And it kind of put me off and led me to believe that budgeting or using or managing my own money perhaps wasn't for me. And at that point, I was really struggling. I didn't know how to save properly. I certainly didn't know how to spend my own money properly and carefully. And what I ended up doing, the one thing that finally clicked for me, was taking lots of different elements, all the good elements of the things that I'd experienced, and putting them all together in one complete, easy manual. This is the ultimate budget planner. This is the tool that has taken me from £100,000 worth of debt to being not just financially free, but financially savvy, having savings and living a great life without having to sacrifice too much. I now was able to quit my full-time teaching job so that I could be more present for my children. And I live in a world where I am in charge and I make the rules, all because I have that financial freedom. And it was literally down to having found the right system and tool that works for me. It was such a simple solution. I couldn't believe I'd spent so long overthinking it. I literally took the pen and I took the paper and devised my own system and started talking about it on YouTube. And then the next thing I know, the ultimate budget planner was born. And I'm finally living the life that I always dreamed of living. So today, I'm also going to talk you through the simple 3-step method that I use every single month to help me stay in control of my money without the stress. And I'm going to use my real figures reflecting on last month's money, last month's spending, and looking at the upcoming month's budget and spending as well. So the first thing that I do every single month is I look at what I have got coming in. So I look at how much money I've got from my business, and then if there's anything else that I've got coming in. So for example, I have a limited company, the Budget Mum UK, and that is my main source of income. That is my job, if you like. And into there, that limited company pours lots of different things because I've got fingers in many pies. And in order to be financially free, I think it's really important not to rely on just one income source. And I've got another video coming out all about that. That's certainly going to help you if that's what you're looking to do. So I have money from private tutoring, and I have money from YouTube. I have money from UGC. I have money from my Etsy store. I've got lots of pots of money, and I take a wage from that. So being self-employed, I try and give myself a conservative wage. And at the moment, that each month is £2,400. I also receive child benefit, which is just over £173 with a bit of change, but I'm actually going to put down £170 just because I always find it useful to leave a little bit of change in the bank, and I'll talk about that as I go through. It's always useful to do that because things go wrong, life happens, and as much as I do try and work in cash, sometimes the world doesn't want to work in cash, so I have to have those contingencies in place. So that's it at the moment. That's my income and that's my child benefit. If you're doing similar, you might have, for example, any side hustle money in there. You might want to include any birthday money that you might get or any child support allowance that you might get. The space in the budget book for lots of different things to go in. I prefer to have all my income sources going into my limited company. It keeps me safe from the tax man and make sure I'm staying compliant to everything that I need to do. So my total come home every single month at the moment is £2,570, and that goes down in my book. The key is to work with your actual income, not your pre-tax income. So make sure the money that is literally falling into your bank is the number that you use, not the amount before tax has been taken off or national insurance. If you're self-employed like me, I would also say to you, make sure you use the number that has got an estimated tax taken off of it as well. Ultimately, you shouldn't be building a budget on money that isn't actually yours to spend. Inside the planner, there's loads of sections for you to be able to do this. income sources, space for notes, and there's even little prompts in there as well to remind you if you make any one-off payments to any debt or even any savings as well. And if you get any refunds from things as well, make sure you include those, put those in. I always put any refunds that I get towards my saving challenges or back into my savings, because I feel like I already spent that money once, and if I spend it again, that's like a false economy, really. So that is phase one. Phase two is the 3-bucket system. So once I've got all my income mapped out, the next thing you need to do is fill your 3 buckets. And yet I literally have the visual pages here in my planner. So my first bucket is for my expenses. These are your fixed monthly expenses. These are things like rent, council tax, your gas, electric, your water, all the main utilities, those things that you know are staple expenses, things that are very rarely going to change, things that you need to make sure you have got enough money for every single month. The next bucket is your fluid expenses. And these are things that can go up and down on a month-by-month basis, but they are also the things that you know you will regularly spend on. So things like groceries, which is such a volatile one, travel expenses such as petrol, or if you get the tube or the train or Uber, whatever you do. And I've got other things in mind. So people's will vary depending on the circumstances, the home, their environment, where they live. I've got things like eating out, socializing, miscellaneous, family time, and I've got little pots for my children as well. So those need to be accounted for, because I know I will spend on those, but how much I spend will vary throughout the year. So I know, for example, Christmas time tends to be a bit more socially busy. So I would, for example, put a little bit more in my personal socializing envelope, whereas maybe over the summer holidays, like now, then the children probably get a little bit more allocated to them because I've got a bit more time to spend with them and opportunity to do that. It also includes any fun things that you might want to have in there. The third and final bucket is what I call future you. So these are things that in my terms include saving challenges, my ISAs, the things where I try and save towards something. Now these can be a mixture of short-term saving goals, but also long-term saving goals. Quite often my saving challenges are the fun ones, the things that I might have a birthday party I want to save towards, or I might just have a girls' weekend I want to save towards. But also it might be something more significant like a house deposit or car deposit, or it might even just be a case of having something that is fun and it doesn't really yet have a purpose, but it's just I want to have a little pot of money for something in case I want to splurge on whatever it is, new hairdo or getting my nails done. Or it might be that I want to have my LISA or an ISA or children's long-term savings, but either way, that third pot is for future self. Now, I do quite often talk about the 50-30-20 rule, and that rule has been around for quite some time, and it will depend on, again, your location. So if you're living in a more expensive area, then your percentages may well change. Whereas I'm living in the Northwest, and it's relatively inexpensive in the grand scheme of things in terms of cost of living. We still have expenses. So it is a bit easier to stick to 50-30-20, but it doesn't mean that you can't switch up those percentages slightly. You might want to work with, for example, 65-20-15 or 70-20-10 for some months as well. You've got more expensive months. Your MOT is due or your service is due, or it's Christmas time. So those percentages may actually slide. It is just a guide, and that's always really important to remember. Don't feel you have to be hard and fast stuck to those percentages, because life isn't stuck exactly and rigidly. Life happens. As long as you are giving every pound a purpose, that is the key essential bit. And I use the envelope method for this. I use it within the planner, and it just makes it really easy for me to see. I'm a very visual person. If I can see numbers and figures and money physically in front of me, it is so much easier for me to stay in control and for me to understand it, for me to see it as well. And by being able to see it visually, it makes it easier to adjust those numbers accordingly as well. Now, phase 3 is the one that quite a lot of people will miss. And this is the reflecting part. It's all very well making a great plan. It's all very well getting everything written down, all your numbers and all your figures. But if at the end of every month, you're just not looking at that and thinking, oh, great, I've done it, let's do next month. How do you know it's worked? How do you know that your good intentions have been fruitful, they've been successful? Well, that's where phase 3 comes in, because phase 3 and skipping it completely is the main reason why most budgets will fail. So at the end of every single month, I will sit down with a cup of tea, get my planner out, and then I'm going to go back over the previous month, because I need to look and see, well, actually, I planned on spending X, Y, and Z. Did I stick to it? So right here, I can see in my check-in as I go through each week what I actually spend. So for example, on the first week, I planned to spend £80 on groceries and I spent £74.32. Family time, I budgeted 20 and I spent £9.50. And I do that throughout each week. And I break it into those weeks just because it's so much more manageable, keeps me much more accountable. And it basically means that I'm very much more in the moment and I'm very much more aware of my finances. And I can think, well, what went well? Look, I managed to stay on the budget. My total budget for that month was £950. I actually allocated £850 for all those envelopes from phase 2 because I had £100 miscellaneous buffer, which I didn't need to touch. And overall, I spent £678.36, which meant that I have left over £171.64. And that, again, will go towards my savings. Then I can also reflect and think, well, where did I overspend? Is there a reason why I overspent? Yeah, I've got my miscellaneous, but have I given myself some sort of false economy thinking that, I've not given myself enough for groceries this month because I've forgotten there's a school holiday, or I've forgotten, that there was a picnic or something else or an event that I haven't factored in? Or is it just a case of now I need to revise my figures? I need to move with, the cost of living and give myself a little bit more spending in certain areas because that's the way that life is going. And by doing that, it's not because it's a punishment. It's not because I'm berating myself. It's just taking back a bit more control. If I haven't budgeted right and that's consistent, then that needs to change and switch out, because I'm looking here and I've got quite a bit left over. Maybe I put too much in a different area. Maybe, I could just afford to reduce the amount that I've got in my miscellaneous envelope so that I can give myself a little bit more in a different area. But also, money is emotional. You might think, well, did I underspend in the fun area? Have I not given enough money towards enjoying my family? Did I feel deprived this month? Did I feel like I couldn't do something because I didn't have enough money? How did that make me feel? Well, I'm happy about it or I'm not happy about it. Right, well, I want to change that. I want to find some more money to enjoy a little bit more. So it can work both ways. So I jot all that down in my little reflection bit, my weekly check-in overall of the month, and it just makes you accountable. It's like a little money diary, if you like. And it just helps me spot patterns. But ultimately, overall, it just means I'm in control and I'm not panic buying or spending. Here's the truth. Good money management is not about restriction. It's about clarity. It's about knowing what's going in and what's going out and how to tweak it when life changes, because it honestly always does. No 2 days are the same. And that's why I created the Ultimate Budget Planner. It gave me that power back. It's, it's not that one tool that sits there and gathers dust. It's the one tool that I always consistently come back to and use. You could get the digital version. I don't use the digital version. I like the feel of the paper on my fingers. I like knowing that I've got that quiet time. I've lit my candle. I've got my brew. I like knowing, where my money's gone and where it's going next. Every penny and every pound has got a job. Doesn't beep at me. It doesn't keep track of me. It just works because it's written for real life. So if you're feeling overwhelmed with budgeting apps, or you're fed up of starting over every single month, give the 3-step system a go. Map it, bucket it, reflect. This month, let's plan out where my money is going. It is the school holidays, but I have actually got some money for school holidays saved. But that doesn't mean that, I don't want to put a little bit more to one side. I did use one of my saving challenges to save, but I've also got in the back of my mind extra things I want to do. So it's a good starting point, but I do still need to allocate where the rest of my cash is going. So let's have a quick look. So overall for the month, I've got £2,570, and that's from my limited company income, so my standard wage, if you like, and then my child benefit for 2 children. My total of my fixed monthly expenses, my first bucket, is £1,154, which leaves £1,416 left over. Of that £1,416, I'd then use that to plan out my fluid expenses. So my second bucket, so that's groceries, it's petrol, eating out, my 2 children, some spending money for myself, for miscellaneous, and also my family time, bearing in mind that it is now summer holidays. So I've given myself £400 for the month for groceries, 70 for petrol, 200 for eating out, Holly and Alexander £40 each, myself £50, miscellaneous 100, and family time £200 as well. So I'm just going to use that information for the overall month, but then I go ahead and plan my first week. So the first week is nothing desperately exciting, but we probably will get out for a few days. Alexander's got a few clubs he's already booked into. So I'm planning £100 for groceries, £50 for petrol, just because my tank's pretty much empty and I know it'll need filling. Eating out for £50. Holly gets £40 for herself. And then family time, £20 as well, because I'm not sure we're going to go yet, but I want to try and get out somewhere on Thursday for the first week, and hopefully I'll either use something that is prepaid, so like using my Merlin pass, or going to the Lake District possibly for the day out, or I might try and go to somewhere else that I can use the Merlin pass. Or I've also got a couple of activity passes, so like the trampoline place and the Wacky Warehouse. So I'll always try and keep it a little bit more cost effective if I can. So that is it. That is how I budget every single month and throughout the weeks as we go by as well. If you want to grab your own ultimate budget planner, you can get those at a really good price on my Etsy store. I managed to get the price right down because they got a really good deal when I managed to get it reprinted again. So that's down, and that is going to be staying down for the foreseeable. For as long as I can keep it that price, hopefully that'll be it for now. If you want to use the same thing, if you just want to use, 3 pieces of paper to write your budgets down, your 3 buckets, you can go ahead and do that. Absolutely fine. That's exactly how I started off. Do come back and tell me how you got on. I absolutely love hearing all your budgeting stories and all the amazing things that you put in the comments. It just is the reason why I did this channel. I absolutely love hearing about all your wins. Have yourself an amazing day, and I'll see you really soon. Bye.